Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today we're talking about a situation that makes a lot of English learners incredibly nervous.
I think I know exactly what this is. Job interviews in English.
Exactly that. Today we're talking about how to prepare for a job interview in English and how to actually sound confident even if English isn't your first language.
I think this is such a valuable topic because job interviews already feel stressful in your first language. Adding a second language creates a whole extra layer of pressure.
That's such a good point to start with. Let's talk about why job interviews specifically feel so much harder in a second language.
Sure, in a normal conversation, small pauses or mistakes usually don't matter much, but in an interview, people often feel like every single word is being judged closely.
Right, there's this extra pressure of trying to sound both fluent and professional at the same time.
Exactly. And that combined pressure can actually make people freeze up, even if they normally speak quite comfortably in daily conversations.
So the good news is, this nervousness isn't really about your English ability, it's about the specific pressure of the situation itself.
Exactly right. And once you understand that, you can actually prepare specifically for that pressure, not just for the language itself.
Let's talk about preparation now, since I think this is where real confidence actually comes from.
Definitely. One of the most helpful first steps is researching common interview questions and preparing clear, simple answers in advance.
Can you give some examples of common questions people should prepare for?
Sure, things like, tell me about yourself, why do you want this job, or what are your strengths and weaknesses?
These questions appear in almost every interview, regardless of the industry, right?
Exactly right. Preparing clear, confident answers for these specific questions removes a huge amount of pressure before the interview even begins.
Let's talk about structuring answers now, since I imagine having a clear format really helps.
Absolutely. One really helpful method is the STAR method, standing for situation, task, action, and result.
Can you explain how that structure actually works practically?
Sure. First, describe the situation briefly, then explain the specific task, the action you took, and finally the result or outcome.
So it's a clear, simple structure for answering behavioral or experience-based questions specifically.
Exactly right. This structure keeps your answers organized and prevents you from rambling or losing focus mid-answer.
Let's talk about vocabulary now, specifically professional, workplace vocabulary.
This is really important too. Learning specific vocabulary related to your industry and role helps you sound genuinely knowledgeable and prepared.
Can you give an example of what that preparation might actually look like?
Sure. If you're interviewing for a marketing role, make sure you're comfortable using terms like campaign, target audience, or brand strategy naturally.
So it's about being comfortable with the specific language of your field, not just general English vocabulary alone.
Exactly right. This specific vocabulary preparation really boosts confidence, since you won't be searching for basic terms mid-interview.
Let's talk about practicing out loud now, since I imagine silent preparation alone isn't enough.
Definitely not enough. Practicing your answers out loud, ideally with a mirror or by recording yourself, makes a huge difference.
Why is speaking out loud specifically so much more effective than just thinking through answers silently?
Because speaking out loud reveals hesitations, awkward phrasing, or grammar mistakes that you might not notice while just thinking silently.
So it's very similar to the solo speaking practice techniques we discussed in a previous episode.
Exactly right. The same principles apply here. Actual spoken practice builds far more confidence than silent preparation alone.
Let's talk about mock interviews now, since I imagine this takes preparation to an even higher level.
Sure. Practicing with a friend, family member, or even a language partner, asking you realistic interview questions is incredibly valuable.
And I imagine even imperfect mock interviews still provide really useful practice.
Exactly right. Even a simple informal practice session significantly reduces nervousness, since the real interview will feel much more familiar afterward.
Let's talk about slowing down your speech now, since I know nervousness often causes people to rush.
This is such an important tip. When people feel nervous, they often speak too quickly, which increases mistakes and makes them harder to understand.
So consciously slowing down could actually improve both clarity and confidence during the interview.
Exactly right. Speaking slightly slower gives you more time to organize your thoughts clearly, which naturally reduces mistakes.
Let's talk about handling unfamiliar questions now, since not every question can be perfectly prepared for in advance.
This happens constantly. If you don't fully understand a question, it's completely acceptable to politely ask for clarification.
Can you give an example of a polite way to ask for clarification?
Sure, something like, "Could you please repeat that?" Or, "Just to clarify, are you asking about?" These phrases sound professional and confident.
So asking for clarification isn't a weakness, it actually shows careful, thoughtful communication.
Exactly right. Interviewers generally respect candidates who ask for clarity rather than guessing and answering incorrectly.
Let's talk about pausing before answering now, since I imagine this connects to feeling less rushed overall.
Definitely. It's completely fine to pause briefly before answering a difficult question to organize your thoughts first.
So learners shouldn't feel pressure to answer instantly, without any thinking time at all.
Exactly right. A short pause actually looks thoughtful and composed rather than unprepared or nervous.
Let's talk about body language now, since I imagine this plays a big role in interviews specifically.
Absolutely. Sitting up straight, making steady eye contact, and offering a confident handshake all communicate professionalism alongside your words.
So body language actually supports and reinforces the confidence in your spoken answers.
Exactly right. Even excellent English can feel less convincing if your body language suggests nervousness or discomfort.
Let's talk about accent now, since I know a lot of learners worry specifically about this in professional settings.
This worry is really common, but honestly, having an accent is completely normal and professional in international workplaces.
So the goal isn't eliminating your accent completely, but rather speaking clearly and confidently.
Exactly right. Employers generally care far more about clear communication and relevant skills than a completely accent-free voice.
Let's talk about preparing questions for the interviewer now, since interviews usually go both directions.
This is such an important, often overlooked step. Prepare a few thoughtful questions in advance to ask the interviewer near the end of the interview.
Can you give an example of a good question someone might ask?
Sure, something like, "What does success look like in this role?" Or, "Can you tell me more about the team I'd be working with?"
So asking good questions actually shows genuine interest and preparation on your part too.
Exactly right. This step often gets skipped, but it genuinely leaves a strong positive final impression.
Let's talk about discussing weaknesses now, since this question specifically makes a lot of people uncomfortable.
This is such a tricky question for many people. The key is choosing a genuine weakness, while also explaining how you're actively improving it.
Can you give an example of how that might sound practically?
Sure, something like, "I sometimes focus too much on detail, so I've been practicing setting clearer time limits for tasks."
So you're being honest, while also showing self-awareness and genuine effort toward improvement.
Exactly right. This balance shows maturity and honesty without appearing overly negative or unprepared.
Let's talk about salary discussions now, since I imagine this feels especially uncomfortable in a second language.
Definitely. Learning a few clear professional phrases in advance really helps with this specific topic.
Can you give an example of a useful phrase for discussing salary?
Sure, something like, "Based on my research and experience, I was expecting a salary in the range of." This sounds clear, prepared, and professional.
So having prepared specific phrases removes a lot of pressure from an already sensitive topic.
Exactly right. Preparation really transforms this uncomfortable topic into a much more manageable, straightforward conversation.
Let's talk about virtual interviews now, since these have become so common recently.
Right. Video interviews add their own specific challenges, like technical issues or slightly delayed audio, which can affect natural conversation flow.
What would you recommend for handling those specific challenges?
Testing your equipment in advance, speaking slightly slower than usual, and pausing briefly before responding all help with virtual interviews specifically.
So a few small adjustments really help virtual interviews feel smoother and more natural.
Exactly right. Being aware of these small technical differences really helps reduce unexpected surprises during the actual interview.
Let's talk about managing nervousness right before the interview now, since I imagine those final moments feel especially intense.
Definitely. Simple techniques like deep breathing, positive self-talk, and reviewing your key points briefly all help calm nerves right beforehand.
So it's helpful to have a small, calming routine right before you actually start the interview.
Exactly right. Even just a few minutes of intentional calming before the interview begins can genuinely improve your overall performance.
Let's talk about mistakes during the actual interview now, since even well-prepared candidates sometimes make small errors.
This is important to remember. A small grammar mistake or a mispronounced word rarely ruins an entire interview, especially if you continue confidently.
So one small mistake shouldn't derail your entire confidence for the rest of the interview.
Exactly right. Interviewers generally focus much more on your overall communication and confidence than on small, isolated mistakes.
Let's talk about following up after the interview now, since I imagine this final step matters too.
Definitely. Sending a brief, polite thank you email afterward shows professionalism and genuine interest in the position.
Can you give an example of a simple, professional thank you message?
Sure, something like, "Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. I really enjoyed learning more about the role, and I'm excited about the opportunity."
So a short, genuine message sent soon after the interview leaves one final positive impression.
Exactly right. This small step is often overlooked, but it genuinely helps candidates stand out in a positive, memorable way.
Let's move toward wrapping up today's episode with some final, encouraging advice.
Sure, I'd say, remember that interviewers already know English isn't your first language, and they're generally understanding and supportive of that.
So the goal isn't perfect, flawless English, it's clear, confident, professional communication.
Exactly right. Preparation, practice, and genuine confidence matter far more than achieving completely perfect grammar or pronunciation.
That's such a reassuring, practical message for our listeners today.
It really is. All right, I think it's time to summarize everything we've discussed today for our listeners.
Great idea, let's go through the main points.
First, prepare clear answers in advance for common interview questions like your strengths and weaknesses.
Second, use the STAR method: situation, task, action, and result for structuring detailed experience-based answers.
Third, learn specific professional vocabulary related directly to your industry and role.
Fourth, always practice your answers out loud rather than only preparing silently.
Fifth, try mock interviews with a friend or language partner for realistic, valuable practice.
Sixth, consciously slow down your speech to reduce mistakes and sound more composed.
Seventh, politely ask for clarification if you don't fully understand a specific question.
Eighth, allow yourself brief pauses before answering more difficult or complex questions.
Ninth, use confident professional body language alongside your spoken answers.
10th, remember that having an accent is completely normal and professional in most workplaces.
11th, prepare thoughtful questions in advance to ask the interviewer yourself.
12th, handle the weaknesses question honestly while showing clear, genuine self-improvement.
13th, prepare a few clear professional phrases in advance for discussing salary expectations.
14th, adjust slightly for virtual interviews, testing equipment, and pacing yourself carefully.
And finally, send a brief, polite thank you message afterward to leave one final positive impression.
That's such a comprehensive, practical summary. I really believe if listeners apply even a few of these strategies, they'll feel significantly more confident in their next interview.
I completely agree. With the right preparation, job interviews in English can feel challenging, but genuinely manageable for every single learner.
Well said. All right, everyone, that's it for today's episode.
Thank you so much for listening and for practicing your English with us today.
If you found this episode helpful, try answering the question, "Tell me about yourself," out loud, right after this episode ends.
Great advice as always. Take care, everyone, and keep practicing consistently.
We'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye.